Hi, and welcome to Stimming and Stilettos with Dr. Tasha. And as you guys know, I don't bring you any old guests, I bring you the best. And today is no different. So, again, you guys know I stalk my guests before I bring them on. That's how I do it. Um, and so I saw something, Kelly, I saw you posted something on, I think it was LinkedIn. And I
Uh-huh.
and I promise you, I said, "Ooh, I gotta have her. I gotta have her as a guest. I gotta have her as a guest." So of course, these hands went across those keys so fast. Um,
Yeah.
and I still get shocked when guests say yes. After 12 years of doing this show, I still get shocked. I literally got up from my desk when you said yes and did a happy dance around my office. I did. I did.
Look, I'm glad I gave you a little excitement that day.
I did. I was like, when can we book? I was like, oh my God. So Kelly Bain is here as our guest today. And I cannot wait for you guys. Of course, you guys know, like I said, I stalk my guests. So I've already gotten all the things, right? I mean, seriously, I've already gotten all the things for you. Um, so I can't even wait for you guys to hear in her own words, her story, all of the things. Because I'm super excited to have her here for you guys to know and hear and see and all the things. But so I'm just glad that you said yes. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for having me. Even thinking my little post, I have to admit, I don't post a whole lot on LinkedIn. I just try to keep it on there because my grown kids tell me I need to keep it up. I have so many things that go on. So I'm just glad. Look, I was just excited that somebody is actually seeing the one or two things that I do probably for the whole year. It is getting to somebody, right? I'm not getting just those automatic responses from people.
Nope.
So
That
thank
one
you for
day you
having
stuck your
me.
head up out of the
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
pick me.
I said, oh my God, okay. Somebody's really looking at what I post every now and again. So that's awesome. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you for having me.
No, no. I was like, oh my Lord, I've got to have her on the show. See, look at that. Your kids were right.
Right, right.
All right. So as my guests know, we always start off with the following statement. Kelly, please tell us your STEM story.
So my STEM story started when I was probably about 8 years old, unknowing that it was going to be a STEM story, right? And it started off with ice cream. And I made ice cream with my granddad on a regular basis. He was an educator, avid cook, um, great man. And when I say avid cook, my grandmother cooked during the week. He cooked on the weekends for family and community.
Wow.
That I think it was probably like his therapy, really, to be quite honest. He was assistant superintendent in Indianapolis, Indiana, is where I'm from. And the reason why I always start my STEM story there is because it kind of is where it landed me currently. So I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry, as well as a master's of science in analytical chemistry. And from that time of 8 years old, I continued, of course, to eat ice cream. Um, and with the science and the education and the, I guess, wit and spirit of Booker T. Washington,
Mm.
from Tuskegee. Here I am, 30, 40, let's see, probably, oh, more than that. I'm not going to tell you a whole lot of years later. Um, I always define myself. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a college professor. I'm also a business owner, and a community advocate for STEM. And so the way that I kind of my STEM story manifests is through liquid nitrogen ice cream.
Oh, Love.
So I own a company called N7 Cream Lab. We are a liquid nitrogen ice cream company here in the metro Atlanta area. And N7's goal, our mission is to be the catalyst that allows family, community to get together over a cup of ice cream. And that helps us to expand science education,
So
right?
wait a minute. You're in Atlanta.
Yes.
I'm in Atlanta. Hmm.
Really? Oh, yeah, yeah. You got to come by.
I gotta
I'm in
come.
Atlanta.
Oh, wait. I feel like there's a live in our future. There's
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
excuse us while we plan, y'all.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. Okay, back to your story. Okay, go ahead.
Yep. So N7, I've had the business for about 8 years, almost 9 now. And I started off, of course, like I said, the foundation for STEM and ice cream was always there. I didn't know it. My grandfather didn't know it, right? So even though I ate it, I love ice cream. Years went on, I started teaching, doing community service, and doing a lot of different, I have a lot of friends in the area that have after school programming, in school STEM programming. And I started actually producing ice cream for my kids. I wanted them to be able to kind of get that. I'm originally from Indianapolis.
Mhm.
So my grandfather and my family lived in Indianapolis, and probably a good, my daughter was, yeah, so probably I've had the business almost 9 years. So probably about 9 years ish, I started making ice cream for my kids. Went to Walmart, got a ice cream machine, and I was like, listen, we should try to do ice cream. I have no idea still to this day, maybe just divine thought in the timing of why this particular thing kind of came up when it did, right? I don't really remember kind of what sparked it. My husband is an architect, and he does a lot of commercial buildings. And some years ago, I thought about doing a yogurt by the ounce. If you remember when all these yogurt by the ounce places kind of came up years ago, because my daughter then was like maybe 2, and she's going to be 21. And so I thought about like, oh, it would be great if I owned an ice cream shop. But I never, it was just like a discussion that I had with my husband, like just general talking. And I didn't talk about it anymore.
Mhm.
Fast forward probably like 15 years later, I'm making this ice cream for my kids, and it starts coming up again,
Mhm.
right? Just starts kind of like, oh, that's like, why am I still thinking about ice cream like that? And at the time, I actually was working for Lonnie Johnson, Super Soaker Water Gun creator,
Mhm.
um, or extraordinary man. I was actually working as a battery chemist for Lonnie. And so I had access to nitrogen. And it was just like, oh, um, what if I kind of wonder how I can kind of do the science with the ice cream? Like, wonder how this can work. And I tell people freezing stuff with liquid nitrogen is not a new thing. It's just not, we don't always apply that to entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so somewhere in that bubble, my the access to having nitrogen, my co-working partner in the cubicle across from me, kind of gave me the backstory of how I can make this mobile. Because I'm thinking, okay, if I can use the nitrogen to make the ice cream, I started doing a little research. So everything, I don't know if people know this, but usually everything in culinary arts that's a new innovative technology or way always starts kind of, I would say, East Asia, always Japan,
Mhm.
because they're just really innovative in using technology in corporation with marketing,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
entrepreneurship. Like, and it's, and a lot of the food, like your different concepts usually start like over in that side of the world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I had already been used to researching this because that yogurt by the ounce company that my husband did here in Atlanta, um, they actually got the concept. They saw it on like years ago in Asia.
Mhm.
And so I was like, oh, let me see if anybody's doing liquid nitrogen, or doing some, what's the new thing, right? And so there was, they had, like, and again, this was before we were using like Instagram, all, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so I was like, it was like, okay, this epiphany came. The liquid nitrogen could work. I could do the ice cream. I could use my grandfather's recipe. Like, okay, Lord, how can I make this thing work? And literally my coworker, I have no idea where he is to this day. He's doing his own thing. He was in Costa Rica the last time I heard, but my coworker was like, I think that's a great idea. I was like, how do I get the nitrogen from the big tank to a mobile tank that I can just try it? Like, I
Mhm.
can just see if it works, right? And so he's like, go on eBay and you can buy a door that the nitrogen goes in on eBay. And I'm like, okay, like how much does that cost? I don't have a business right now, but I need it because I can at least go out to schools and I can just kind of try it out at home. He's like, go on eBay, get you a door. And I was like, go on eBay, my first time. And on eBay, I had never been on there before. I heard about it. So I said, well, these things, he's like, yeah, they're going to cost you about $1,000, to get a door, but you need one and we'll get the nitrogen from Lonnie, right? I can just get it from my job. So Lonnie's brother worked next to me. He was in the cubicle next to me. So I was like, hey, I was like, Manuel, you think Lonnie will let me fill up a door if I purchase on eBay? He's like, cool. Yeah, I'm sure it's no problem. He was like the plant manager. We'll just fill it up. You just got to get a door. So I go back on eBay. I'm like, okay, let me get this door. So on eBay, the door was like, I don't know, the guy was asking like $800, right? And I'm like, ooh, these are kind of expensive. Chris is like, yeah, new. They're like up, 1,500, 1,200. So I'm like, cool. So I look on there and eBay says you can make an offer for the door, right? And I'm like, so can y'all put anything in there? He's like, yeah. I said, well, he's offering 8. I said, I'm just gonna put $100 in there. He's like, Kelly, I don't think you can go from 800 to 100, but maybe like 500, 400. I said, well, it says you can make an offer. So I'm gonna put 100. They took the offer.
Shut up.
The door was shipped from Maryland. I got to this day, I still have that door. That
Wow.
door is 9 years old. I started my business from that door, getting the nitrogen from my STEM job, right? I filled it up. I had to get a top that pressurizes the door. I bought that on eBay the same way. I think the guy was asking like 750. I think I offered 200. He was in Conyers, Georgia. I was like, okay, I got my door, got my nitrogen. Now what do I do? So I got me a KitchenAid mixer, and here we are 9 years later.
Wow.
And this story, and I always like to tell that story because if I had not been in STEM, I would not have been working in the battery lab. I would not have had nitrogen accessible to me. I would not have been working for Lonnie Johnson that encouraged entrepreneurship, small business, innovation wherever you are, right? And just having somebody else who didn't know my story, but they were like, hey, I think it's awesome. Like, whatever it is you're trying to do. Probably about a year later, I went back on eBay to buy another door. And I found an old Dippin' Dots cart in Kennesaw, Georgia.
Mhm.
I told my husband, I'm not looking for this, but they got a cart that I can use to go out to like do festivals. I mean, it just literally happened like this,
Mhm.
right? It just, so I said, you know what, Lord, this really can be a business,
Yeah.
right? But I need to make sure that I'm incorporating the teaching portion. I
Mhm.
had already been doing the Chem Lab, which is a STEM project. At the time, it was a project for girls to do cosmetic chemistry. And I would go to different camps and we made lip glosses and all kind of stuff. And my friend that was here in Atlanta that had the STEM program, that's what we were doing in schools. So I told him about the nitrogen. He said, why don't you bring the nitrogen and your mixer, since you haven't done anything, into the school and do STEM day with me. And you can kind of try it out, talk about the nitrogen. I'm like, okay, there we go. That's the STEM education.
Yeah.
We already got the family piece, right? How do we get the community piece? And so I started catering, doing the STEM events and just going out. Didn't have a physical location. I got my first catering gig with a pharmaceutical company. They just found me. I didn't have a website. They found me, I think, on Facebook or somewhere. That particular catering gig allowed me to be able to buy more doors, mixers, everything. And I went out, and maybe about a year and a half later, I resigned from that STEM position and I opened up a kiosk
Mm.
because now I needed a place to put the community piece, the tangible application for STEM over food, ice cream of all things, and then also me being able to teach. So I didn't privy this, but I've been teaching with the University System of Georgia for about 22 years. I've been all over Atlanta. I made a career out of adjunct teaching general chemistry, and it was a great career. So all of these things kind of is my STEM story. It's
Yeah.
not just the science, but it's the teaching, the education, the influence of family, my college of choice, and the spirit of STEM, right? And
I
all of
always,
those things are me.
yeah.
And so this just allows me to be able to kind of do everything all in one.
So, question
Yep.
for people who are curious,
Hmm.
put it together for us.
Okay.
What how do you make, well, I got two questions. How do you make ice
Okay.
cream? What's an ice cream for people who are
Okay.
curious into like what is the
Yes.
science behind ice cream? Because I've
Yes. That's
I've
awesome.
made I've made ice cream and you're like all of this is in ice cream and then like the whole process of it like it
Yes.
is a science experiment, like
It
for
is.
real.
It
It's
is.
and people like who haven't done, and it's so good. Like if you've
I
never
know,
done
right?
like for
Real homemade
real
ice cream. Yeah.
vanilla strawberry,
Yes.
it's so good. But like you got to tell people what's in there.
So I always start off with the making and people that are, usually, of course, I will, it's going to date myself because my daughter that's 12 is like, what do you mean making ice cream? Right. Of course, she knows now because she's been in the business since she was like 4. Right.
Mhm.
However, the idea of the process of freezing point depression,
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
right, and colligative properties
We're talking like,
is what we do
hmm
when we make ice cream.
hmm
So of course, traditionally I made the ice cream with my granddad. There's a motor. Traditional homemade ice cream is made, of course, with the ice cream maker,
hmm
right? It used to have the wood barrel. Now they've gone to plastic, which also prevents the ice cream from freezing as fast, but that's another show. Anyway, we did have we actually had a metal. He did wood, and then we got a metal container. But the idea is your milk, your cream, your sugar, your vanilla extract. That simple. I still make the ice cream that way.
Wow.
I don't put anything else in it, right? We make the base. Of course, I don't use the machine because with the machine, of course, we had all of that in the metal bucket, had a motor on top. I didn't churn it. I did plug it in. My grandfather churned it. We did plug it in, right? Put it inside the metal container. And the key thing was that metal container, of course, served as where you actually put the ice cream mix.
Mhm.
And that plastic barrel or wood barrel or metal barrel serves as the insulator for the ice that went in, right?
Mhm.
We put the ice around the metal can, right? And then we had to add salt to it.
Yep.
And the reason why my grandfather could never explain why we had to add salt, but he did say we have to have salt and there's a little hole and we have to make sure that we drain the water, right? As the ice starts to melt, the salt dissolves And Kelly, we just got to make sure that there's not more water than there is ice, right? And so for those that don't even like the homemade ice cream idea, is that you're pouring salt on top of the ice. Ultimately, it's gonna melt, right? Or it
Mhm.
lowers the freezing point. Let me say that.
Yes.
And in general chemistry, we call that colligative properties because it makes a solution
Mhm.
of salt water, right? Which lowers that temperature that allows that churning or that mechanical mechanism with the ice cream inside the barrel, of course, to freeze. Now, of course, it's really thin. You let it go, it starts to kind of thicken up. And then, of course, we took it out, put it in the freezer. Fast forward now to 2024, the N7 Cream Lab. I do the same thing. It's just instead of using the mechanical um, ice cream maker, I use a KitchenAid mixer.
Okay, got it.
Now everything goes inside, and instead of me having to have an insulator, right? Because the churning took forever.
Yes.
Like, oh my God. Because it's gonna keep melting. You don't have a real true, it takes forever.
Mhm.
Um, but using the liquid nitrogen, all we do is flash it. All that good mix inside the bowl. I get my liquid nitrogen. I use my cryo hose. I blast it with liquid nitrogen. And each cup can be made in about 60 seconds.
That's tough.
We're not using freezing point depression per se, but because ice cream has small molecules, ice cream normally has a lot of air in it. We
Mm.
don't know this because we're not in the factory, but the reason why they can say, "Oh my God, you get 3 scoops for $2," is because probably the cheaper the ice cream, the cheaper the price, right? And
Okay.
that is because air is whipped into the freezing process just naturally because it prevents those. It's almost like pockets, right? All
Oh,
those fat molecules that are inside, the faster it freezes, less ice particles can form. So let me give you a practical example. When you get the big, but no shade to anybody, but when you get those really big buckets of ice cream in the store that you have like for birthday parties,
mhm,
and you're like, oh my God, it feels kind of, it's so frothy.
mhm.
Like what's going on here? And then compared to a Ben and Jerry's or a Haagen-Dazs, you're like, okay, you get this big bucket for like $2, and this little bitty thing costs $6. Well,
Yeah.
it's not just the ingredients; it's also the way it freezes.
Oh,
Ever
I
notice the
understand.
texture?
Yeah, and it's very dense. It's dense.
Exactly, because it's less air.
Interesting. Okay,
That's
got it.
right.
Understood.
So
Understood.
that science is that all those molecules with liquid nitrogen, and they use blast freezers, which are very expensive for like your Haagen Dazs. They do small batches, but they use blast freezers, like go really, really low freezers, and they blow the air in really fast, really quickly, so it can freeze faster. Liquid nitrogen says, I don't have to use a blast freezer. I can just flash freeze it with this liquid nitrogen at negative 320 degrees Fahrenheit and freeze it on the spot, right there, less time. I don't need a freezer, and that's it.
Got it. Got it.
So ultimately,
Okay.
that idea is just being able to freeze those particles, those fat molecules, and they're much faster.
Mm-hmm.
Less ice particles, better texture. You don't need eggs. You don't need any other emulsifiers. You don't need
Hmm.
any of that.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Learned. Okay. All right. So question.
Hmm.
Where do you see, okay, so let me formulate this question in my head.
Okay.
You, where do you see it going? Like the industry of ice cream, where do you see it going? Do you see more businesses using nitrogen in the future, or is it going to be like a divide, like, the higher end ice cream
Hmm.
people and
Hmm.
then, everybody else? Or where do you
So
where do you see it?
to be quite honest, there are a few other. There's probably two nationally franchised brands of liquid nitrogen, which are my competitors, right?
Mhm.
I think it's just like anything else in the sense that when you are in business, in particular, entrepreneur, you do have to look at trends, but you also have to keep a purpose in mind,
Mm,
right? And I think the reason why we only have those two franchises, or maybe three franchises across the country, there are smaller, companies like mine. But I think the reason why there's been a slow growth, in particular in liquid nitrogen ice cream, or at least, and when I say slow growth, I mean as far as national franchising,
mhm.
right? Or seeing one in your neighborhood. For me, those are my competitors. I follow ice cream shops all over the world, Toronto, China, India, like because people are doing some great things. And so when people say, I've never heard of it, I'm looking at them like, what? There was even a company on Shark Tank at one time.
Right.
But one of the things that I think you have to remain close to your purpose.
Yeah.
You can't just be about the show. You need to make sure that you talk about the science,
Hmm.
right? You need to make sure that you have a purpose
Hmm.
for what it is you're doing. And you're not just saying, oh, this is science, right? Or, oh, I'm doing it. But you're not talking to the kids. You're not making sure that your employees are educated about it. You're not trying to make a community impact.
Hmm.
So I think that nitrogen itself, is so funny because I'm also in a lot of ice cream associations. I'm in one in particular, and they kind of frown on somebody like me in a sense because I don't use a batch machine. But I always tell them I'm a chemist and a
Mm.
professor. So I'm not just making ice cream just so you can see the glorious fog that's coming up. I'm making ice cream because you have a tangible connection to STEM
Yeah.
and they see us, me, behind the counter,
Right. So there's a message
right?
that you're sending. It's larger than
Exactly.
it's the ice cream, but it's larger than the ice cream.
So I think any company that decides to start a business in the liquid nitrogen space, that is key to the growth. And so
Mm.
I think the reason why it's been slower is because of the process, the energy that's there. Um,
Hmm.
Ice cream is a $20 billion a year industry.
Wow. Wow. I don't think I
Billion,
knew that.
billion,
Wow.
billion.
Wow. That's what I'm saying. I don't know that I knew that.
We don't think about it a lot of times because we eat it, we love it, but we don't think about the business behind ice cream
Right.
because there are people that dominate the market,
Right.
right? There's certain companies that dominate the market, and we don't think about all these other smaller businesses. I think ice cream is a great is a has a great trajectory. We haven't lost. It's one thing that has not lost that space. Nuances and innovation and all those things, STEM will, I think, help grow that business. For me, as a liquid nitrogen ice cream company, I've grown from catering to a kiosk to a physical location, now to manufacturing,
Yeah.
and now to hopefully a tech space where we can do customization, online. You can create your own ice cream from California and have it shipped overnight, because you need dairy free or you want oat milk or you want, right? Or you want,
Right.
I think that it's a great opportunity to expand on all of the new things, AI, all the new things that we have, incorporating that and continuing to grow. It's just like any other area of STEM. And
Mm.
I think liquid nitrogen in particular, I said earlier, it's not that other traditional ice creams feel like, oh, what are you doing? I just think they don't get the message and there's not a clear education. There's a education barrier as to what does this do, right?
Hmm.
So, how is it different? Or you're just trying to, have a show. But the reality is having that purpose and being able to teach that needs to be making sure that that needs to be the forefront. So
Hmm.
for me, I'm looking now, I package pints. So I didn't think, 8 years ago that I would be actually doing small batch ice cream with liquid nitrogen. I just thought my vision was just individual cups. Now we're producing and now we have another. So now I'm looking to, I may not be able to be, or I'm not trying to necessarily be in Walmart, but I would love to be in a Whole Foods. They
Mm.
have small batch ice cream. Liquid nitrogen allows you to do that. So I'm looking to grow. But as far as the bigger industry, we still are very, very small, less than 1% of the ice cream market,
Mhm.
when you're talking about liquid nitrogen ice cream shops, across the country.
Okay. Well, you are a woman with a plan. I see it. I can't wait. And I'm gonna have to, so since I'm in Tampa today,
Uh-huh.
or at the time of
There
this
are some in
recording,
Tampa.
I
There are a
I
few.
don't
There's
doubt it.
one in
I'm coming to
Tampa.
yours though.
Okay.
I don't know these other people. I know you.
Right.
I know
Right.
you. So
Right.
I frequent, I'm going to frequent your shop, ma'am,
Yes.
when
Yes.
I am back home in Atlanta.
Please come see
So
me. I deserve you look, you got
right.
one
So
coming.
I'm gonna email you and be like, I'm stopping by today. So
Yes.
trust and believe. I'm bringing my entire family and my
Yeah, come
family's
on.
family. Okay, because that's what I do. I support.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be about that, and I'm gonna tell everybody I know, go by this shop, get the
Please.
ice cream. This is what we got to support, and do our part to make sure
Exactly.
that's a.
Yeah.
Um, and so I have a couple more questions, and this
Okay.
might be a random one, and maybe there is
Uh-huh.
none, but is there a difference between this might be a I don't
Uh-huh.
even know. I'm gonna ask it. What's the
Uh-huh.
difference between frozen yogurt and ice cream? What is the difference?
Okay. So, literally the ingredients.
Okay.
There are some frozen yogurts that use yogurt and dairy.
Okay.
There are some that do that. And then there are some that use just yogurt, period. Now, what I find in a lot of yogurt and ice cream places, a lot of it's so much science and so many different things, because you can go into a yogurt spot, for instance, and they use a base that they buy and they put it in a machine and it's frozen. So you can actually buy a bag. There are people that manufacture just bases,
Okay. Okay.
right? Just
Okay.
like how you bought a wholesale lemonade or something, and then you put it or soda, and then you put it in the machine and you sold the soda. There are companies that do that, right?
Okay,
And they
gotcha.
have a lot of different things in there. Yogurt in particular, again, can be made with dairy, and some people. And when I say dairy, that means, normally how you get yogurt, we know that it has a dairy source.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but there's some people that mix half and half,
Okay,
and
got
that
it.
gives it a different texture when you
Hmm.
freeze it.
Hmm.
Then there's some people like, we have no dairy, it's better for your stomach,
Yeah.
um, you know. And then with ice cream, you also have the chemistry because you also have gelato.
Hmm.
So the idea of all the different types, and if you ever gone into the store and you see in the ice cream section, they say it's non-dairy, and they don't say ice cream because they say frozen dessert.
Got
That is
it.
because the science is behind the percentage of milk fat inside of, based on the FDA, there has to be a certain percentage. There's a certain percentage there. Let me say this. They don't, in order to be an ice cream, the FDA says you have to have at least 30% milk fat
Oh,
ish.
okay.
You can't call, if you're doing oat milk, you don't have milk fat.
Mm.
There may be, so anytime you get non-dairy, it's going to say frozen, it's going to say frozen dessert.
Okay.
It's not going to say ice cream. So it's the same way with the yogurt, right? With
Hmm.
yogurt, their cultures, I would say probably wherever it's derived from,
Hmm.
that percentage will probably govern. I've never really looked into how they classify yogurt ice creams,
Hmm.
because you do have people saying yogurt dessert as well.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you do have some yogurt places that also specifically say no dairy,
Okay. Okay.
which is kind of weird because we already think yogurt's not dairy, but you know what I'm saying? So
Some people
but
don't
I think it's
know.
to mix
They
it.
don't, we don't know what we're eating, which is why I'm asking all
Yeah,
these questions because
yeah,
like some people will be like, well, I want to go get some ice cream, but then they're going to the froyo shop and it's like,
right. And that's not the
where are we
same
going?
thing. That's
Right?
right.
It's
That's
not
right.
the same
It's
thing.
not.
So
Looks the
there,
same.
right. So that's it's like I went to get ice cream and it's like, but you're at the froyo shop. Like what?
That's a good, you know what, look, I'm gonna write that down because I do I'm starting like a the science of
Hmm.
series that'll be like on our Instagram and like a blog. And so that's great to talk about yogurt
Yeah, they don't, I
because that
promise
wasn't
you
on
they
my
don't
list.
know.
I was talking about ice cream and gelato, the differences, but I didn't think about when you go get ice cream and you're going to the yogurt shop.
Yeah, they don't. I promise
That's
you,
a good point.
they don't know that there's a difference there. They think
Yeah,
it all looks the
yeah,
same. It all looks the
yeah.
same. It tastes the same kind of too. There may be a slight
It
difference in
does.
the okay, okay.
The tanginess or something like that. Yeah.
Yep. So, and then
Good
when you go to one
question.
of those soft serve places, it's like, okay, that one over there is frozen yogurt, and it's like, okay, but
Yeah,
it
and then
tastes
you're like, but this is not frozen yogurt. I'm doing the same thing. They're taking it
correct.
out of them. Yeah. It's the milk, the dairy.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just want, can I get my caramel and chocolate and peanuts on this too?
Yeah, all that. Yeah. Yes, most def.
Okay. All right. So I got two questions for you.
Okay.
If people are looking for you today, and they probably will, or after they
Hmm.
hear this episode, where can people find you? And so tell
Okay.
us where you're going to be, where your website, all the things.
Yes.
So tell us.
So you can always go to our website. It is n7creamlab.com. We are also on all social media platforms at N7, N for nitrogen, the number seven, cream with a K, Cream Lab, because I'm Kelly the chemist, right? N7 Cream Lab, all social media. You can also find us. We are in right outside downtown Avondale State. So we're in the heart of, I said that's kind of the heart of Decatur, but we are Avondale. We're right at the Newtown green space that they have. We're on 121 Center Street, Avondale Estates, Georgia. And we also have a grab and go counter where we sell ice cream pints in Midtown Atlanta at the Forest Eatery Food Hub. You can walk in there anytime and get you a pint of ice cream. I won't be there. That is a that is ran by Cloud Retail. So that particular Forest Eatery, if you've ever been to a food hall or it's a food hub. We actually don't have a kitchen there, but we have a freezer there. So you can order DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub as well, right? Um, from both locations.
Awesome. Okay, so in case you guys are wondering and you like say you're on YouTube and you are just wanting to know, it will also be in this, all this information will be in the show notes. So people, you're gonna have to read the show notes. Okay. So again, read the show notes. And I will
Right.
reiterate, read the show notes.
The show.
Just read the show notes. Read the show notes. Okay. So, and so one last question for you. And this is the
Mm-hmm.
question that we ask every single guest on every single show. And it is, if you could travel back through time and talk to your
Mm-hmm.
younger self, what advice would you give her and why?
My advice would be don't limit yourself to anything, even if you don't know what the outcome is going to be, right? And when I say don't limit, I didn't do it physically and or consciously, but I think subconsciously sometimes we don't see ourselves in spaces and it causes limitation,
Ooh.
right? We don't. because we don't see even sometimes when we see ourselves in spaces, because we don't see more of us in that space, we don't realize that we're limiting our view of ourselves, right? And to be conscious, I would say, as a younger me, be conscious of that. Don't say, "Oh no, I don't." And I'm speaking from experience. So when I was about 9 years old, I wrote a paper. We had a paper. What do you want to be when we want to grow up? I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a scientist, doctor, and teacher, right? And my mother still had the paper. Um, After I went to college, I didn't even know she still had the paper. Somewhere we found the paper, and those are the three things on the list. And I remember saying, my college professor said, Kelli, you should teach. Like you should. And all I could think about was teaching in elementary school or teaching in high school. Even though I was looking at a Black woman that was telling me that in college.
Mm.
I never saw myself as a college professor. So I didn't get a PhD because I only saw myself working in a lab.
Mm.
And I'm older. So, back then it was like, oh, master's degree was fine. Right? I want to work in the lab, want to do some, pharmaceuticals, but I limited myself, and I did not consciously, right? I didn't, if someone said, you're limiting your, teachers can be professors, teachers can be community leaders, teachers can be entrepreneurs. Like, I just saw one thing. So I think I would just tell myself, whenever you make a decision or when you think of yourself as doing something in the future or starting a business or do something, don't just be conscious about not limiting what you think at that time, at that moment,
Yeah.
right? At that moment, right? Because that moment I said teacher, I wasn't thinking professor, the same thing.
Yeah.
But if I had thought about, teacher, what are the other things that teachers do, right? What is that? What are those other jobs? What is the impact that they have? Then my mind would have maybe opened up.
Wow.
So I think just when you decide something, that first thought you have, think bigger.
Love
Because
that.
sometimes your first thought is not the biggest. Make sure that you're thinking about the bigger picture.
I love
Um,
that. Don't put limits on yourself is pretty much.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Love,
yeah.
love. I would also push you to consider that you did what you wrote, you became.
Yes. And and I'm so glad you said that, because I was only thinking about in third grade or eighth grade or whatever, I was only thinking about medical doctor, right?
Mm.
I never connected these things probably until the last 4 or 5 years. I'm
Yeah.
going to be 53. So I never connected these things. So I've already been a teacher
Yeah.
in whatever capacity, right? I've already been a scientist,
Yeah.
and I'm starting my PhD in the fall. So I am full circle at 53, married with three grown kids and one 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Never too late to do what it is that you want to do, and what God has gifted you to do. And one of the things I want to add is also, when you are thinking about your career, and I'm talking to my younger self, faith was always at the cornerstone of my family and what I was taught. But I was not taught, when I thought about career goals, to make sure to accept that God has given us a lot of gifts and talents.
Mm.
And, as the Bible says, He will make room for our gifts. So the reality is, when we are picking careers or thinking about our life or teaching other people, make sure that your gifts and talents are intertwined, because that's how He created us.
Yes.
Don't pick one thing over another, and then you get caught up in one thing and you never able to use, for instance, your gifts, right? We're all talented. I'm talented in science, but that's not necessarily my gift.
Mm. I
But
feel that.
teaching And being able to do that is my gift. So those things, gifts and talents, is in Seven Cream Lab.
I see that. Wow. I just got chills. Oof. I love when that happens though. Woo. Okay, I have certainly enjoyed my time with you today. Thank you so much for just spending a part of your day with me,
Yes,
with
I
us,
appreciate
with
you having
me.
me. I so appreciate. I've been seeing your posts and stuff on. That's why I was excited. I was like, not only am I looking at the people I'm watching, because anytime somebody says something, so there's so many people using the word STEM and so many people, programming, and I'm a part of a lot of things, but to be able to see something that represents us as women, also storytelling, how we got to that point is important. So I was excited that you reached out, and I was so honored that you asked me to be on the show, and that I wish you continued success, um, and that you continue sharing, right, your gifts and talents,
Oh, thank you.
right, to others, and allowing us to be able to also share ours.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna, like I said before, I'm gonna do this until I physically and mentally cannot. And
Yep.
I mean that with every breath I take. This is more than a thing to do for me. This is a part of my purpose,
Okay.
and why I was put
Yep.
here on earth. Um, I love hearing from others and I love sharing. So I really
Oh,
enjoyed
that's
it.
awesome.
And I
Awesome.
know that you'll continue to do good things. And I hope that this episode, when it airs, will just be one small part of helping you
Thank
to
you.
grow.
Thank you. I
And expect a
appreciate that.
visit. I can't
Of
even
course,
wait.
of course, of course, of course.
Yep.
I'm right there,
Okay.
right in the middle. Come
All
see me.
right. Can't even wait. And I have some ideas, but I'll talk to you offline about those.
Okay,
All right,
awesome.
you guys. So this concludes today's episodes of Stimming and Stilettos. Um, ooh, y'all, she has given you so much to chew on. Actually, and if you want to, okay, so first off, there's a couple of things. One, stop by if you're in the Atlanta area, going through Atlanta, in Avondale Estates, or
Yep,
Decatur where it's greater, uh,
yep,
or all of the, you can tell I'm from Atlanta because if you know,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
all the things, y'all stop by her shops. If you are in Midtown, go by and pick up a pop,
yep,
all the things.
yep.
Um,
Or order online.
or
Always
you
on
can order
DoorDash.
online because she
That
does have a
that
website.
that DoorDash, Uber Eats, and all that DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub from that Midtown location is open from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Oh, okay. Well, see, there you go. See all of that. Um, you can and check her out online, all the things, right? I try
Yes,
to, big up all of my folks. So do what you need to do to get in contact with this great lady. And then of course you can check out the episode, or any of the episodes when it airs, or any of the episodes. We have a YouTube station or channel. It's a channel. Um, or
perfect.
you can check us out anywhere podcasts are available. This concludes today's episode. And as I say all the time, keep yourselves safe.